Good evening, brothers and sisters. About 6 months ago, Right Worshipful Sam asked me to help out at the Washington Leadership Conference, and I said I would. He also asked, by the way, can you speak at our banquet on Saturday night? And I said, me? What the heck do you want me to speak about? He says, I don't care, just be yourself. So, Right Worshipful Sam, you are in trouble. So let's start this. No Masonic function should ever start without invoking the blessings of a good joke. A Mason who had just been installed as master of his lodge and was duly attending all the functions he could, having a hard time with his wife, who said, all those masters in your office, all they have to do is click their fingers and you would be there, wouldn't you? I wish I was a master. After some due thought, he said, so do I, dear, so do I. We swap them for new ones every year. My friends, what I really want to talk about is from the heart. I believe not all, but some of our members do not have pride about being a Freemason. Yes, I'm talking about being proud to be a Freemason. We were asked at the very beginning of our Masonic career, where were you first made a Mason? And that answer is in our hearts. So what happens as time goes on? Some of us lose that feelings in our hearts. Basically, they just become card-carrying Masons. Or they are dropped in PD. Or even some never finish the degrees. They just simply lose interest. So where do we start? We start in our own houses, and we call them our lodges. See, I look at everything on the business side. We are a fraternity with business challenges. Members should be the #1 priority in all lodges. See, if we don't have good Masons, we don't have a fraternity. You would think that the pride should come naturally for the simple reason of our names, Freemasons, or just being the first and oldest fraternity. In reality, we're dealing simply with the human mind. Some members, the name Freemasons is sufficient, but others, you have to continue to be nurtured. Let me explain, and please keep an open mind. How many of you heard Maslow's laws of hierarchy? So basically, Maslow says we have 5 levels. Maslow's hierarchy reads as such. The physiological needs is #1. Safety and security needs is #2. Love and belonging is #3. And esteem is #4. And the 5th being self-actualization. Now the first one is the physiological needs. So how do we compare this to Freemasonry? Well, Maslow's definition reads like this. The physiological needs are the physical requirements such as air, water, and shelter. So now we as Freemasons can't help with water and air, but I do want to talk about shelter, or our lodges. Now the lodge buildings defines our image. That's basically the first impression to our communities. Now how many of you have seen lodge buildings that are just run down and needs major repairs? What kind of message do we tell our community? Does it show we are a proud fraternity? Buildings don't have to be big, new, flamboyant, but just well kept up, well maintained, showing on the outside we are a fraternity with pride. Now the second level of Maslow's hierarchy is safety and security needs. Maslow defines safety and security needs as personal security, financial security, health and well-being, and safety. So how do we relate this level to Freemasonry? Masonic lodges should be a place where people feel secure, comfortable, and where they can be themselves, where they can relax and not be stressed. Have fun. Now the third level of Maslow's hierarchy is love and belonging. Maslow defines love and belonging as friendship, intimacy, and family. We as Freemasons should excel on this level. Acquaintances turn to friendships, friendships turn to brotherly love, our brotherly love turns to the Masonic intimacy that is next to none. Our Masonic intimacy turns to where basically we become a family. And yesterday at lunchtime we heard that young lady talk about that, and that was a perfect example, and she was spot on. Now Maslow's 4th level of hierarchy is esteem. He defines esteem as a typical human desire to be accepted and valued by others. Now we as Freemasons develop self-esteem from the beginning. As a candidate, we are taught to trust a friend. We enter a room to the unknown. At this time, our self-esteem is pretty fragile. As we listen to the ritual, we are able to continue with the degree, and the candidate develops a sense of security. This naturally, his self-esteem starts to grow. So we as Freemasons can picture in our minds, as a brother passes from the first degree and passes his proficiency and moves forward on the degree work, his esteem starts to grow. Finally, when the brother gets to be Masonically raised, he stands as a Master Mason, and his self-esteem is about the highest it's ever been in his Masonic career. Furthermore, when the brother starts moving through the chairs, he eventually becomes the master of his lodge. Where do you think his self-esteem is now? Or, what about becoming a Grand Master? Some people may call that ego. So what really happens? He starts showing pride. He becomes more and more proud to be a Freemason, and the result being self-actualization, level 5. So how do we keep this self-actualization? Well, possibly it's just like Maslow's hierarchy, except we call it, or let's call it Worel's laws of hierarchy. Level 1, keep our buildings looking like something we are proud to be part of. Level 2, keeping our lodge friendly, making guests, visitors, and members feel welcome. Level 3, making our members feel brotherly love, Masonic intimacy, and keeping family involved. Level 4, maintain our members' self-esteem by having strong mentoring programs and doing excellent Masonic ritual work. Level 5, by performing these tasks, you can finally achieve the full potential of a brother having a high self-esteem. In conclusion, I truly love this fraternity. Freemasonry is truly a progressive science. Moving through the degrees and moving through the chairs teaches us important lessons in life. Lessons like responsibility, self-control, taking direction, giving direction, humility, and many, many more. North American Freemasonry has evolved to a Masonic family. No matter what your belief is, if it's only Blue Lodge, the truth is we have a Masonic family such as DeMolay, Rainbow, and Jovies. We have Eastern Star, we have Amaranth, we have Scottish Rite, we have York Rite, we have Shrine, we have LOS, we have Daughters of the Nile. And there's many, many more, at least a half a dozen that I haven't even mentioned. I can prove that our Masonic family donates conservatively $8 million per day. Yes, $8 million per day. How could you not feel proud to be part of a Masonic family? I am. I sure am. So, just like we started, no Masonic function should never end without invoking the blessings of a good joke. This joke is by Brother Peter Taylor from Albert Lodge 448 from the Grand Lodge of Scotland. A ragged tramp stopped a Mason on the way home from the lodge and asked him for money for food. "I'll do better than that," said the Mason. "Come into the pub, I'll buy you a drink." "Thank you," said the beggar, "but I never drink and I never will." "Well, let me buy you some cigarettes," said the Mason. "No thanks," said the tramp. "I never smoked and I never will." "Okay," said the Masons. "Well, come back to the lodge. I'll see that you get a meal." "No thanks," said the man. "I never entered a Masonic lodge and I never will." "Right then," said the Masons. "Well, will you please come home with me and meet my wife?" asked "And why?" asked the tramp. "Well," said the Mason, "I just want her to see what happens to a guy who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and hasn't joined the Masons." Right Worshipful and 3/4 Sam, I want to thank you and our brothers and sisters for allowing me to work with you this weekend. It's been truly an honor for me, and thank you all.